Let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. It hits you right as you walk into a party where you only know the host. Or maybe a networking mixer where everyone seems to already know everyone else. Suddenly, you become painfully aware of your own existence. Your hands feel incredibly large and clumsy. Are pockets okay? Crossed arms? No, that looks defensive. You try to join a conversation group, but you misjudge the timing and end up interrupting someone. So you just sort of hover on the periphery holding a lukewarm drink. And then, the moment of truth. Someone turns to you and says, "Hey, how's it going?" And your brain, in a moment of pure, inexplicable panic, betrays you completely. You mean to say, "Good, how are you?" But instead you blurt out something weird like, "I like bread," or you just utter a high-pitched, "Fine," that ends way too abruptly, leaving a thick, heavy silence hanging in the air. If you're nodding along right now, first off, welcome to the club. It's a massive club. We have jackets. Seriously, social awkwardness is something almost everyone deals with. In American culture, there's immense pressure to be instantly charismatic, outgoing, and on all the time. But for some of us, it feels less like an occasional hiccup and more like a chronic condition that holds us back from making friends, advancing our careers, or just enjoying happy hour without dread. I used to be paralyzingly awkward, that paralyzing sense that you are constantly being watched but over years of studying psychology, putting myself in uncomfortable situations, and learning from people who are naturally magnetic, I realized something huge. Awkwardness isn't a fixed personality trait. It's a feedback loop, and it's one you can break. Today we are going deep. This isn't just 5 quick tips to be cool. We're deconstructing why your brain short circuits, looking at evolutionary biology and cognitive distortions, and then building a practical roadmap to stop feeling like an alien observing human behavior and start participating in it. Let's start with the why. Why does this happen? We tend to think of awkwardness as a personal failure, like we missed the cool gene, but actually, that cringe feeling? It's evolutionary. Thousands of years ago, if you did something weird in your small tribe, you risked rejection. Back then, rejection didn't just mean eating lunch alone. It meant getting kicked out of the cave and probably eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. Your brain evolved a hypersensitive alarm system to keep you in good standing. That feeling of awkwardness is basically your brain's check engine light, flashing red, screaming, "Warning! You are deviating from the norm. Abort mission." The problem is, our modern world isn't a Paleolithic tribe. If you stumble over your words during a Zoom meeting, you aren't going to die. But your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, doesn't know the difference between a bad date and a predator. So that's the biological baseline. But what really cranks the volume up in our modern culture are a couple of specific cognitive distortions. The biggest culprit is the spotlight effect. This is the immense, overwhelming belief that everyone around you is noticing every single thing you do, analyzing your every move, and judging your every word. You spill a tiny drop of coffee on your shirt, and you're convinced everyone in the office is thinking, "Wow, what a messy disaster of a person." You tell a joke that doesn't land perfectly, and you think the entire room is writing you off forever. Here is the absolute truth that you need to internalize. Nobody cares about you as much as you think they do. I mean that in the best possible way. It is liberating. Everyone else at that party is walking around in their own little bubble of self-consciousness. They aren't analyzing your awkward pause because they are too busy worrying about whether their breath smells okay, or if they sounded smart in the last meeting. We are the main characters in our own movies, and we forget that we are just extras in everyone else's background. The second major cause is the scripting trap. This happens when you treat a social interaction like a performance you need to rehearse for. Before an event, you pre-plan witty anecdotes. You think through topic. Then, when you're actually in the conversation, you aren't listening. That gap is the spotlight effect. And inevitably, the conversation takes a turn you didn't expect. Your script becomes useless. Because you were mentally rehearsing, you have nothing natural to say to what's happening right now. That gap between your plan and reality, that's where the awkwardness lives. Okay, so how do we stop it? How do we shift gears and become comfortable? This requires a fundamental mindset shift. You have to move from an impress mindset to a connect mindset. When you walk into a room trying to impress people, Your focus is entirely inward. You're monitoring your performance. Am I standing straight? Is this story landing? Do they think I'm smart? It's exhausting. And frankly, it makes you seem aloof and disconnected because you aren't actually present. So you project that obsession onto everyone else. Your only goal is to make the other person feel seen and heard, and to find a point of commonality. That's it. When your focus is outward, on curiosity about the other human being in front of you, you don't have the bandwidth to obsess over your own awkwardness. You can't simultaneously be deeply interested in someone else's story and worried about what to do with your hands. This leads to the most practical tool. Be interested, not interesting. The most charismatic people aren't usually the ones monopolizing the conversation with crazy stories. They are the ones who make you feel like the most interesting person in the room. If you feel awkwardness creeping in, ask a question, and not a dead-end yes-no question. Ask open-ended questions that invite a story. If someone says, "I'm an accountant," don't just say, "Oh, cool." Ask, "What's the craziest tax situation you've ever seen?" Or, "Did you always know you wanted to do numbers? Or did you fall into it?" Then, here's the key. Actually listen to the answer. Don't just wait for your turn to talk. Listen to understand. Follow-up questions come naturally, and suddenly, you're in a real flow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Also, you have to hack your body language. Your body dictates your feelings as much as your feelings dictate your body. When we feel awkward, we shrink. We hunch shoulders, cross arms, avoid eye contact. This signals to your own brain, we are in danger. Keep panicking. Manually override this. Before you walk into that scary social situation, take up space. Stand tall. Pull your shoulders back. When you enter, force yourself to make eye contact and smile. Even if you are terrified inside, adopting the posture of a confident person actually tricks your brain into feeling a little more confident. It's physiological. Fake it till you make it. But did you go home and think about it Did you wake up the next morning thinking about that strength? That's because you're trying to run a marathon before you've jogged around the block. You need to microdose social risks. Don't start by trying to be the life of a huge party. Start incredibly small. Your mission today. When you order coffee, ask the barista how their shift is going and actually look them in the eye when they answer. That's a win. Tomorrow. Give a genuine compliment to a stranger, then keep walking. Don't stop for a conversation. Just drop the compliment and leave. These tiny interactions prove to your amygdala that you can interact with humans and not die. You're slowly rewiring that alarm system. Finally, stop the post-game analysis. This is what happens on the car ride home where you replay every interaction, highlighting every mistake until you're convinced everyone hates you. Stop the rumination train. When you catch yourself doing this, shake your head and replace the thought. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, identify 3 things you did right. Did you show up even though you were scared? That's a win. Social skills are muscles. You wouldn't expect to bench press 300 pounds your first day in the gym. Be patient with yourself. Embrace the fact that sometimes things will just be weird. An interaction will crash and burn. So what? It's data. It's a funny story for later. When you practice Sonder, you shrink your ego. The goal isn't to never feel awkward again. The goal is to stop letting the fear of feeling awkward dictate your life. Show up, be messy, be authentic. People connect with vulnerability far more than they connect with perfection. So take a deep breath, drop the script, and just try to connect. You got this.